What I actually would be really interested in is if any of our attentive listeners have had experiences with other people or themselves, like you just described, where you went into something with a set perspective and then either caught yourself sticking to it when maybe you shouldn't have, or actually being willing to adjust your viewpoint. So it's always, I think it's always really interesting to see how people, if they can identify that in themselves, because you and I have both seen this through our careers, is that whenever a patient tells me a story about a perspective, I go into it thinking they have half the perspective. They're half right. And so I think that protects me as a therapist from jumping too much on their side. I do care about them. I am supportive of them, but I also know that whatever they're telling me is just one piece of the story.
That's an interesting angle, actually, because in our line of work, when we sit with patients, one of the things we're called upon to do is to develop a model for this patient's personality structure, their psychodynamics, what drives them. And I know certainly in my career, which now extends out to closing in on 3 decades, there have been many instances in which I have developed a model to help this individual, their childhood experiences, how it impacts them, how it plays into their decision making, the recurrence of, say, certain relational patterns, etc. And then something will happen. And I believe very firmly that my model is correct and it's played out over and over again over time. And then something happens that is a complete outlier and it just doesn't fit with the model. My gut instinct is to go the pseudoscience route and do some ad hoc explanation to account for it, so that my model has not been falsified. And I have gone down that road in some cases. And then usually something else happens and something else happens. And I realize, okay, the model was it was shit to begin with. It worked up to a point and now it doesn't work anymore. So maintaining that falsifiability